Hi, this is Team Quad Laser, and for our senior project, we are doing a card battle game named Mascot Mayhem. So this is for our presentation one. Seth?
Yes. So, for a brief overview of our project, Mascot Mayhem is a web-based multiplayer card battle game that allows users to play head-to-head matches against each other. So, the structure is pretty straightforward. Users can register for their own accounts, and authentication is handled via the Firebase platform. And after user creates an account, we'll store their details in a database. And then users can browse to their own profile, which contains their personal info and rankings via the main menu. The gameplay starts after the loading screen. Each user will connect to the socket.io server on the back end, which handles the gameplay functionality. And the game board will be reflected in each player's screen in real time with real time changes. We created different types of cards for the game, each with varying effects to allow for different gameplay functions. And throughout the gameplay, users can unlock achievements, which are triggered by certain conditions through gameplay. After a match is finished, we'll update the player win counts and achievements through the database, and they can be viewed on their profile at any time.
So I'll talk a little bit about the project design and specifically our software architecture diagram. So the overview is quite simple. Here, the model is one where we have multiple users connecting to our game playing system, which from their point of view is a monolithic structure where all the action takes place in this ecosystem. In the more detailed container level, we have the main game, which is held within the web client container. And the user actions all begin at registration and login, which is a prerequisite for the other capabilities in the software. The registration and login process involves Firebase for authentication and storage and retrieval of user data from our Postgres database. Once the users have registered or logged in, they can navigate starting from the main menu to either their profile, the overall game rankings, or to a waiting room to play the game. The profile and ranking pages load data from our database for the users to view, including user details, achievements, and win count.
Yep. So taking a look at the UI UX wireframes, wanted to see about designing something less linear and maybe more towards a specific idea. So our wireframes have a bit more unorthodox ideas combined with others from more popular online card games, such as Magic the Gathering or Pokemon online trading card game. So we took some of these unorthodox ideas and different designs and we transferred them to our mockups. So as you can see, we leaned really heavily into the comic book theme that we had going on with a lot of different iterations. So mainly wanted to focus on very bold lettering, a bit unusual designs for containers, as well as very bright colors to resemble that comic book feel. So taking a look at our project progress.
Yeah, so far in between our weekly meetings, we've been working on completing the deliverables for our project. We've implemented an authentication system. We have a login and registration page up and running. We also have a Postgres database that stores our user details, such as achievement details and win counts. And we've also created two main types of cards, resource and mascot, to be able to be used in our card game. And in our next slide, we can sort of take a look at our next sprint and also our current sprint. So in our current sprint, we've been really working on merging our branches, trying to get all the different features that each of us have been working on, and I'm getting it into one version. And a lot of those features are about front end tasks and also our authentication system and database. And we also are working on getting our game loop up and running in our next sprint where we're focusing on other user experiences such as the achievement system, our leaderboard, and improving our debuff cards and other card features that we're hoping to have done by the next sprint. And in our next slide, you can see our whole project timeline. Obviously, we have a lot of tasks in our first few sprints, but we reassess these in our weekly meetings, and we'll definitely divide them differently in our next meeting. and taking a look at our individual responsibilities, I'll start and look at some of the tasks that I've completed. I've basically mostly been working on front-end tasks, such as creating the mascot card for our game, enforcing limits, and updating health in real time. And I have one task in this sprint currently in progress. I'll definitely be looking over our frameworks documentation, and I'm working on that to get that done by our next meeting, where we'll discuss some of the things we need to do next.
So I've primarily been focused on the UI UX. That has been a majority of my work during our progress, but I am starting to get my hands a bit dirty with the front end code base. So I'm working on an indicator for how users know when it's their turn to play, and also working on deliverable work at the moment, but I'm looking to add more ideas towards the next sprint meeting.
All right. My primary responsibilities during the project so far have been on the back end, selecting the middleware and implementing the authentication system for users through the Firebase platform. And in addition to that, I created login and registration pages so that users can sign up or log into their accounts and have their own game profiles. I plan to take on other tasks on the back end, which will be determined in our next sprint meeting.
So I started working on our database implementation details, the choice of using Postgres, the tables design, and accessing and updating information in the tables via JavaScript backend. I've pivoted to front-end work and I've created the resource type card, and also able to end the game loop early for either player. I'm now working on rearranging the board a bit and visually representing the resources available for each user. And like the others, we'll plan more work in our next sprint meeting on Friday.
That's all. Thank you very much.